All right, let's get right into it. Have you ever looked at our modern history books and just felt like there are these massive, glaring gaps? I mean, sure, some mysteries of the ancient world are pretty easy to explain away, but others, they just linger. They're sitting there, buried in deserts, carved straight into mountains, or hidden in geometric patterns that are way too large to even see from the ground. So in today's explainer, we're going to tackle the universal mysteries of human ingenuity and lost technologies. We're zooming in on those specific parts of history that completely defy our modern understanding of what humans were actually capable of thousands of years ago. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be exploring 1. Vanished empires. 2. Monumental stone mysteries. 3. Lost ancient technologies. 4. Deciphering ancient minds. And 5. Lessons from the past. You know, whenever a totally inexplicable ancient discovery is uncovered, we are basically forced to ask three core questions, right? How did they move these massive stones without heavy machinery? Why on earth did they build these sprawling, insanely complex structures in such harsh environments? And ultimately, who were they, really? Section 1. Vanished empires. Let's take a look at macro-level collapse. So, starting at the macro level of advanced societies, the striking parallels across completely different continents are just undeniable. Look at the Indus Valley, the Maya, and Great Zimbabwe. These were three magnificent, thriving civilizations that all faced a deadly cocktail of environmental stress, shifting trade, and societal fragility. In the Indus Valley, it was the drying up of the Saraswati River and shifting trade routes that likely led to people slowly dispersing into much smaller settlements. For the Maya, severe prolonged droughts combined with rising hostility and political fragmentation completely brought down their massive city-states. And over in Great Zimbabwe, a bustling, wealthy hub of trade ultimately fell to overgrazing, shifts in the highly lucrative gold trade, and bitter internal power struggles. It's a pretty sobering reminder that a society's survival is always a very delicate balancing act. But hey, collapse isn't always a straight line to oblivion. Progress is messy. Take the ancestral Puebloians of the American Southwest. They didn't just vanish into thin air. When they faced intense droughts, they actually strategically adapted by migrating and relocating to areas that just had more reliable water sources. On the flip side of that, you have the Sea Peoples of the Late Bronze Age. This was a mysterious confederation of raiders and migrants, and their sudden, aggressive movements across the Mediterranean triggered massive migrations, literally toppling long-standing cities and entire empires. Moving on to Section 2, Monumental Stone Mysteries. Time to uncover some truly mind-bending engineering. 200,000. That is the estimated number of tons of solid basalt rock that was removed to carve India's Kailasa temple. And here's the truly insane part. This massive, incredibly intricate temple wasn't built from the ground up using stacked blocks. No, it was carved from the top down, directly out of a solid hillside, into a single, unbroken, unified masterpiece. I mean, artisans literally sculpted an entire complex world out of one single piece of stone. It's just wild to think about. Then consider this number, 1,000. That represents the weight, in tons, of a single megalithic block at Baalbek in modern-day Lebanon, often called the Stone of the Pregnant Woman. Moving a 1,000-ton stone is a complete logistical nightmare, even for our modern heavy machinery today. Yet somehow, ancient builders were out there quarrying and moving stones of this colossal scale just to form the foundations of their temples. And you literally cannot talk about ancient engineering without bringing up Pumapunku in Bolivia. We're talking about massive blocks of andesite, which is an incredibly hard volcanic rock, cut with a level of precision that seems impossible. Perfect right angles, circular drill holes, and interlocking shapes that fit together so seamlessly you couldn't slip a piece of paper between them, all without a single drop of mortar. It's a form of modular architecture so unbelievably precise that it heavily hints at advanced drilling and machining techniques we honestly still don't fully comprehend today. Section 3, Lost Ancient Technologies. Let's talk about forgotten brilliance. Seriously, how is it possible for a highly advanced technology to be absolutely perfected and then just completely forgotten? Take modern concrete, the stuff that builds our entire world today. It degrades over a few decades, especially in harsh conditions, mostly because the embedded steel rebar rusts and corrodes from the inside out. But ancient Roman concrete, it actually gets stronger over millennia. By mixing volcanic ash with lime and seawater, the Romans created a chemical reaction that forms rare minerals like toberite. So when salt water seeps into the cracks of Roman piers, new minerals crystallize, effectively allowing the concrete to self-heal.
They literally created an ancient technology that completely outperforms our modern equivalent.
Luckily, not all ancient technology was lost to time. Some of it was brilliantly preserved and even expanded upon. Back in AD 1206, an engineer named Al-Jazari wrote the Book of Knowledge of Ingenious Mechanical Devices. This masterful treatise detailed the construction of incredibly complex mechanical devices. It's a perfect example of how ancient Hellenistic mechanical engineering didn't just vanish. It was carefully cultivated, translated, and vastly improved upon in the Islamic world during the Greco-Arabic translation movement. But then you have those secrets that were guarded maybe a little too well, right? Like the Byzantine Empire's Greek fire. This was a terrifying liquid flame used in naval warfare that actually burned on top of water. Modern researchers speculate it contained a highly deadly mix of naphtha, quicklime, and pine resin. The quicklime would react violently with water to produce intense heat, while the pine resin made the whole mixture stick to enemy ships. The recipe was such a fiercely guarded state secret that when the empire finally fell, the exact chemical formula was lost to history forever. No one wrote it down. And speaking of lost recipes, we have to talk about Damascus steel, famed throughout the pre-industrial world for producing razor-sharp, unbelievably resilient sword blades. Well, modern microscopic analysis has recently revealed something completely staggering. These ancient blades actually contain carbon nanotubes. The blacksmiths of the Near East were essentially utilizing nanotechnology centuries before the concept of nanoscience even existed. They relied on highly guarded recipes and hyper-specific forging temperatures that metallurgists today are still struggling to perfectly replicate. All right, Section 4. Deciphering ancient minds. How did they record complex data? To really appreciate these societies, you just have to look at the sheer mathematical genius of the Maya. They didn't just have one simple calendar, they had an entire system. The Tzolk'in was a 260-day ceremonial cycle, and the Hab was a 365-day solar cycle. Together, these two cycles interlocked like giant cogs to form a 52-year calendar round. To achieve this kind of staggering astronomical precision, literally predicting eclipses and planetary alignments with just the naked eye, they utilized a base 20 numbering system. And crucially, they grasped the highly abstract concept of zero long before European mathematicians ever did. Incredibly, the Inca managed a massive, sprawling mountain empire without ever developing a written alphabet. No alphabet at all. Instead, they used quipus. This was a highly sophisticated, tactile, three-dimensional data network. Using a decimal counting system, they would tie knots at very specific positions on color-coded pendant cords. It was this brilliant, portable, and highly durable system used by specialized officials to track censuses, agricultural yields, and tribute all across the Andes Mountains. It just shows a completely different, ingenious pathway to complex administration. We also see this deep mathematical understanding of the cosmos literally built into physical devices. Take the Antikythera mechanism, recovered from a Greek shipwreck dating back to the 1st century BC. It was essentially an analog computer, absolutely packed with precision bronze gears used to simulate and predict celestial orbits. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, ancient China developed the compass. They did this by observing how natural lodestones naturally align with the Earth's magnetic fields. Initially, it was just used to harmonize architecture with nature, but it eventually went on to revolutionize global navigation for the entire human race. Finally, Section 5. Lessons from the past. What does all this actually mean for us? So, what's the big takeaway here? Honestly, it's a massive, humbling reality check. Progress is not a straight line. We modern humans tend to think of technology as this endless, guaranteed upward curve. But history clearly shows us that entire chapters of human brilliance, engineering, and advanced knowledge can be easily erased. Whether it's wiped out by shifting climates, internal fragmentation, or just the tragic loss of fiercely guarded secrets, we can achieve absolute brilliance, only to lose it completely to the sands of time. I want to leave you with a final, kind of provocative thought today. Think about our modern world for a second. Our sprawling concrete cities, our invisible digital data networks, our own monumental structures. If our civilization were to face a sudden collapse and just vanish tomorrow, what totally inexplicable mysteries would we leave behind for future archaeologists to puzzle over thousands of years from now?